All right, I want to make this video in response to one of my supporters. I'm going to call you a supporter because I think calling you guys fans just sounds weird to me. So you're either a supporter or a hater. That's pretty much it. So, anyways, Neil writes me this letter. He's 20 years old. He's been lifting for 5 years. 6 foot tall guy. He's about 145 pounds, and in the last couple of years, he's bulked up to 175, and he's curious about how do I know when it's time for me to cut and transition to back and forth between cutting and bulking. And I guess, a lot of that is first of all personal preference. So if you're somebody who likes to carry yourself a little bit thicker, or somebody who likes to be leaner, it's going to dictate when you want to transition. For me, one of the things that I pay attention to is how long it takes me to get into what I would consider, shredded or single digit body fat. So dropping down to the 6 to 8% body fat range where you look abnormally lean. The wow factor, I guess. Even though stage is a little much, I don't care to keep myself that close to stage because stage is 2% unhealthy. It's not where I want to be on a regular basis. But I like if I'm going to Vegas or I'm hanging out at a pool and be walking around shirtless or Halloween costume that's hardly any clothes. I'm going to be trying to get as ripped as I can, and for me, I need to be able to time that, and so. I like to keep myself within about 3 weeks, 3 weeks or so of being in that kind of shape. So what that means is for you, I guess you just got to decide, and maybe when you decide to lean down this time around, so he's bulked up and now he's considering cutting in the next 2 months, whatever. So whenever you do decide to cut, I would keep track of how long it takes you to get back into that super lean shape. And from that is how I gauge myself on when to transition. So I regularly test my body fat. I use what they call a dunk take hydrostatic weigh. It's one of the most accurate ways for me to test my body fat, which will give me a good indicator. And as long as I keep myself between about 9 and 11% body fat, I can manage that and get down pretty lean pretty fast. That gets me about 4 weeks out, 4 to 6 weeks out from a show. And 2 to 3 weeks out from being pool ready or in pretty lean shape where my abs are pretty defined. So for me, that's how I do it, and that's my personal preference. Personally, I like to be bulking as much as possible. I mean, I enjoy eating food. I don't like being in a caloric deficit. It's not very fun for me to be cutting all the time. So I prefer to be eating in the bulk. But like you said, you mentioned in your letter that a lot of times what happens when guys bulk is they bulk so aggressively that they put on a lot of bad weight, and you don't necessarily need to do that. Although I tend to put on a little extra weight than I need to, I think if I were to be really good about it and probably not let myself indulge in red velvet cake all the time when I'm bulking, I'd probably manage myself a little bit lower and make it a lot easier for myself when I go to cutting. So I'm not that bad. I know a lot of bodybuilders that are very extreme, and that's just rough on the body. There's no need for you to put so much excess fat on. For me, the ratio definitely needs to be higher muscle than fat. I mean, or else you're really kind of going backwards. Your body fat percentage is going up if you're increasing your fat at a higher rate than your muscle. So size is one thing, but if you're putting all fat on, that's not that great of an idea. So pace yourself when you do decide to cut. I would keep track of where your body's at as you progress through the weeks and see how you look and where you like to be or where you'd want to keep your physique as far as what you consider lean. And then from there, you never allow yourself to get beyond that point. You use the gauge where you're at right now and how you feel out of shape. And compare that to how long it takes you to get lean. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, you can email me again, bro. I know we're going to actually talk on our Mind Pump Radio a topic similar to this. So maybe when we address that on the podcast, you'll have a chance to tune in and get some good information. So hope this helped, and have a good one, bro.